Great. I am so excited today to have a few guests from some of our fellow Adventist Enactus teams. We're just going to chat with each other, talk about how this season has been, questions that we have for each other, and hopefully just encourage each other. This work is a lot of work, but really exciting and rewarding, and we're not alone in it, so it's great that we get to collaborate with each other. I'm just going to ask everybody briefly to introduce themselves. My name is Ariana. I am the president of La Sierra Enactus. I've been on the team for about 4 years now. This is my second year as president. I'll be graduating this year, so I'm really excited to kind of pass on the team to the next group of students, and so I'm excited to see what advice and things that we can share with each other and hopefully for our future teams. Someone else want to go next?
My name is Maggie. I'm also from La Sierra, and I've been with the team for about 4 years. And I'm VP of Projects.
My name's Ashley. I'm the president of the Southern Adventist University Enactus team, and this is my third year in Enactus.
My name is Michael Davis. I am the president of Andrews University's Enactus team, and this is my third year in Enactus and my first year as president.
I'm Josh Bodwin, and I'm the president of the Walla Walla Enactus team, and this is my second and a half year in Enactus.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So I kind of just want to start, just tell us what the past year has been like for your team. Obviously, we've all gone through a transition, remote work, school closing, and that inevitably will have an impact on our focus and our projects. So maybe just kind of share how your team's adapted, or what are the things that you're experiencing now. I'll go ahead, let's go in the same order. So I guess we can start with Ashley.
Yeah, so when COVID first was called a pandemic back in March of 2020, all of Southern went home, went to online learning, as I'm sure all of you guys did as well. And that was really hard for Enactus. We honestly didn't get a whole lot done throughout the rest of the year just because it was such a shock, and how are we supposed to just transition to online learning that fast? And anyways, but then over the summer, our team hired someone to kind of work as an intern for us. Her name was Ileana. She was part of our team this year after her internship, and we did it because we knew that there was just so much that needed to be done because of COVID, and we wanted to be able to pivot and actually help our community more with specific needs that COVID had caused. So a lot of what our summer intern did was she just did a lot of community research, worked with United Way a lot, and we found that a lot of small businesses were just really struggling because college students had gone home and that was their primary customers. So when we got back to campus, we actually started a new project that is aimed at helping these small businesses market to Southern students. So we've worked with a small purse business. Right now they're working with a nail salon. But yeah, that's one of the main ways how our team has worked through all this COVID stuff.
Cool. Michael, do you want to share?
Yeah, so this year, we sort of went a different direction. We've basically been doing a lot of our meetings through Zoom. We've definitely been using this platform to have our meetings. And so since we can't meet in person, what we've sort of done, because we currently have 3 projects that we're running, we've sort of decided to split our team up in 3s and try to meet in different days. So I meet with different project managers in different days of the week. And that has sort of helped us because we do have we've had an ongoing project for the last 3 years that is in Burkina Faso, and we also have another project that is that we sort of started with the intern. We also do have an intern. It's a startup. It's a egg replacer product, and we've been doing production and branding and manufacturing of that. So that's one of our projects that we are currently doing. So we are able to do that in person. We did recently get inspection and stuff. So we're sort of trying to start a homegrown business of sort. And then our other project is, I don't know, the Rethink Plastics project that Enactus has right now. So we've sort of been doing a lot of emailing and using the internet a lot more, and having a limited, like if we do meet in person, just, with the team lead and me or my vice president. And so we've sort of just been trying to use the internet and Teams and Hangouts and everything to our advantage, to try to pivot and adapt to what's happening at the moment.
Yeah, so last March, we've been planning to build a community garden, and when COVID hit and everyone went online, we had to put that on pause. However, luckily, since Walla Walla has been in person, at least to some degree since the fall, we've been able to continue that. And so far this year, we've pretty much been proceeding business as usual. However, it's been substantially tougher because our team size is about a quarter that it was the year before, because we haven't been able to do any major recruiting events. But we're proceeding with two projects we have. We're continuing on with the community garden project. In fact, we're going to be building that later on today, which is pretty exciting. And then also we have a glass recycling project where one of the members in the community, he approached us and said, like, hey, I'll purchase this glass recycling machine for you guys if you want to start a project around it. And so what that does is it turns glass bottles into usable sand that you can put in gardens, paths, sidewalks, all that sort of stuff. And that one's also going to be starting up probably at the beginning of next quarter, so beginning of April. And so we're super excited for both those projects.
That's awesome. I hope we get to see photos of you building it. I think it's cool to hear. I think we've had similar, experiences. Obviously, that first transition, I think one of the most difficult things was just engagement and, productivity. Everyone was adjusting to their reality, and now everything was online, all of your classes, all of your meetings, any interaction with anybody. So I think we had to kind of reinvent how we conduct meetings and kind of use them as working meetings versus just like updates, because otherwise people are not going to find as much value coming into the Zoom call. We are still completely remote because we're in Southern California, so we're not quite ready to open up again yet. So we've been adjusting. We do have our separate project meetings. We still have our two projects, thankfully, and I think something really cool that has happened with them is that we've been able to sort of refocus and narrow down who our focus demographic is. And we've really been able to connect more, although we aren't physically around them, more with the realities of our local demographic, like what's right around our school. So we've been able to pivot some of our projects to respond to them now. We have an education project, which, in virtual learning, everyone learning from home, giving like supplemental materials and things like that can be really of value. And then we have another agricultural project that we're working on as well, that we're bringing a form of a garden to our campus. So it's cool to hear that everyone, we all experience this little adjustment, but we have adjusted. And I'm really interested actually to talk a little bit more about that intern role that two of you mentioned. I would be curious to hear what that looks like, as well as now that we're virtual, what are some tools that we use, whether that be like, task managers or whether that be communication channels. Obviously, we're probably all using Zoom. We're in it now for meetings, but I don't know if there's anything that you guys have found to be really effective, different platforms or anything like that. I think that would be cool to talk about as well.
I think so. I'll go and talk about the intern role. So for interns, we sort of have this thing in our school where Essentially, if you're an intern, it's like a 1 credit. So it can be beneficial. A lot of times seniors are trying to get their like last 16 credits in, or just trying to like graduate. They'll intern, or some people, they can essentially intern for multiple years, and that, like, say if they do 3 credits, it can like be split throughout that time that they've been interning. And that's sort of how we've been doing it. Our current intern, she is about to graduate, so we're gonna have to find someone else, and that recruitment process will probably be a little harder because it is running a whole entire, it sort of is like being like brand manager of a whole entire company, but that, it's something. And our communication, how we've been sort of having meetings and things, definitely Zoom. I think Zoom is, like, at this point, we should basically have stock in Zoom by the amount that we use it. But also Teams, Microsoft Teams, our staff sponsor, she uses it a lot. So that's sort of how we communicate with one of our projects, and a lot of times just through email, and just updates, and texting group chats, stuff like that.
Just curious, Michael, do you guys pay your intern?
So it's essentially, it's payment through the credits, like, because it's like a class, and essentially for her, she sees it as a class. Hopefully when the business does start up, because it's in that starting up stage of like creating the brand and the identity and all those types of things, hopefully we are able to start paying our interns once we start making money. That's really the goal. I'm not the largest fan in like unpaid work at all, but definitely at the starting point, sometimes that does happen when you're trying to create a business. And she's very passionate about it. Yeah, hopefully we'll definitely be able to pay the next interns that do come in, or employees. They'll be official employees at that point.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, we've definitely thought about, or actually I think our team has done in the past, those like unpaid internship structures, because they get like a credit. We have like a similar thing. We actually get an amount of money every year, a set amount from the School of Business, to help with competition traveling expenses. And since that didn't happen last year, we had kind of all this money laying around, and so we decided to use that to hire an intern instead for the summer. But it is going to be challenging, because now we're thinking like, well, when competition comes back again, like, we realize it's a really good thing to have someone working over the summer, because it makes the projects a lot more sustainable. Because, like, you know, realistically, small businesses don't just like quit over the summer and only run during the school year. So obviously it's a good thing to have those always going. So yeah, we've definitely been having conversations with the School of Business and with other people, just trying to like set up a better model for that, because that is something we like to continue, but money is tight everywhere, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, and communication wise, we've been using this tool called Asana. It's kind of like Trello and Slack mixed together. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it's cool. Like, you just you make different teams for your different projects, and then we have one for our leadership team, and then use it to like communicate, because it goes straight through emails, and we assign tasks and stuff on it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so at Lola, we've been using a program. It sounds quite similar to Asana. It's called Basecamp, and so that allows us to post files to it, to set up different groups. So we have, like Ashley said, we have one for our management team, we have ones for different projects, we have one for the competition and stuff like that. And then that allows us to both private message people, but also there's a big group chat. It allows us to forward emails. So if someone has like an important email, they can send it to Basecamp so everyone can see it. Let's see, it has like a to-do feature, and so we found that really, really useful because it allows us to consolidate all our communication. The only thing it doesn't do is video calls, so for that we've been using Zoom. But yeah, Basecamp has definitely been a really useful tool for us.
Thank you. Yeah, we also we use Slack for our messaging and our notifications, and Asana integrates with Slack, so we've been kind of trialing that. There's supposed to be a way that you can assign tasks through Slack, and it will update on Asana as well. So we're still testing out the features of it, but yeah, I agree. Definitely helps to have something organized. And even if it's just like putting in Slack like a bullet list of here's everything that we need to do and here's the people assigned to it, you know. But totally, I agree that feature is really crucial. And I think something interesting about the summer piece, like having people involved in the summer, I think actually we have a unique opportunity now that we have been used to working remotely, or at least, you know, we've worked remotely for a while, that it may be easier to kind of have some support over the summer, as long as there's people who will continue to be on the team next year. I know we're currently working on a process in our team of transitioning leadership. We're in a quarter system, so transitioning leadership, like each quarter there's a specific aspect of it that is going to be done, so that by next quarter, which is our last quarter, spring quarter, leadership will have been chosen for the summer, so they can already like be assigning their tasks and working on it during the summer, although we may be in completely different places and half of our team graduates. But yeah, just trying to start that process as soon as possible, especially since we're all meeting remotely anyway, so it's not, we don't really need to wait for somebody to be here physically to do that. But yeah, I think I agree, that's always a challenge, like how these things are year round, right? The projects that we start don't just stop with our school schedule. Another thing that we're trying to do this year is write like year-end closing summaries, although we're not closing the project, but just like here's everything, here's the status of everything when we finished in, for us, June. For you guys it might be different. Here's the status of everything when we finished in June, just so whatever happens in the summer, they have that like foundation. Here's where everything tied up, here's where everything was finished when the school year ended, and then going into the new year they can adjust that as needed. I don't know if anyone wants to talk more about that piece, but I did hear that Josh mentioned something about not being able to recruit, and I feel that struggle in bringing more people into the team. So I thought it might be cool for us to talk about how do we like encourage engagement, what are some unique recruiting opportunities we've thought about. I know we have a program, a mentorship program that we've been working on, where each person is paired with another member. So when you bring in a new member, they're paired with somebody else. And that's in a professional sense as well as in a social sense. So like what I found when we all went remote, those of us who had relationships with each other were there for each other in the meetings, right? Because we had that connection with each other. We had, you know, nothing bonds you more like like the work that we do, I think. Some of my closest friends are team members. You know, it's probably the bond over unpaid labor or something like that. But those relationships are what kept our team going, you know, and we found that the people who weren't as engaged, we hadn't developed those relationships with them yet. So creating this program, there are different activities like check-ins with each other, and just, you know, different like professional development things like taking a Strengths Finders test, or, you know, other things like that to just learn more about yourself professionally. And then that also could be used as a tool for transitioning leadership. if someone, because we have a whole process of how we pair them together, kind of like a speed dating type thing that we tried over Zoom. It was a little bit different, but it was fun to do. So when you pair these people, they have some like-mindedness. So, we found that people are really into the budgets and the finance, and, they can talk for hours about their stocks and things like that. They happen to be paired with each other. And that was a really natural transition to, okay, we need to replace our VP of finance. He already has a mentee who is really invested in this stuff. Now let's see what professional tools we need to give him to, make him feel comfortable in the leadership position he's in. So that's just one thing. We're still obviously always improving and developing the process, but I don't know if anyone else has any cool engagement pieces or other unique virtual recruiting events that they've been able to do.
So we haven't been able to do any sort of anything cool. We've come up with ideas for this upcoming year, and just like during this year, we're thinking more so showing transparency as a club on campus, because a lot of people, as I said prior, a lot of people don't understand how much work Enactus takes to be successful, that it sort of is like having a job, and it takes more than just meeting once a week to get a project done. And I think that it sort of helps you get the cream of the crop that actually want to be there, instead of a lot of times, I know in the past, it's more so like you see, oh, you guys go to competition, you guys win, you guys do these things. But I think sort of what we're trying to do is be transparent with our social media account, showing how the process is, or like daily check-in, like today with our Enactus team, like posting on, actually using our Instagram feed more, using our stories for engagement, and basically showing checklists like on, as we do on Enactus Plus, like also on our Instagram, like, oh, here we are with the project. Like a lot of nonprofits do, I think, to get engagement with their fans and engagement with people, even though we don't have fans, but supporters in a sense. And that helps you break the mold, I think, to get the best people that will fit into your group.
Thank you. I think transparency, integrity is huge. Yeah, and to show not everything is super perfect and organized on the outside. It takes grit to get to the ultimate goal. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
I think when you show that transparency too, it opens up an opportunity to also show them like what's in it for them. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but this work is going to be a good experience. I learned so much through Enactus in the way that I work with people, work with our partners and carry myself. Just beyond, it's not just, sitting in meetings. You learn real life and career skills. And so through that transparency, you also get to show students, it's an internship. Honestly, when you think about it, as far as work experience, it's about the same, in my opinion. So showing them what they get to experience, I think, is a good opportunity with that as well.
I think on top of that too, is where we also try to basically, a lot of the projects that we have, we try to sort of funnel them into the freshman marketing class. So our staff sponsor, she's a marketing professor here, and so a lot of times she has the projects that we currently are having. She sort of has the marketing classes try to make their mock branding ideas for a project that we might have. And so some people, they actually do come from that class and like, oh, I want to actually work on that. I did that as my project freshman year. And a lot of times that is beneficial. And I think also showing people the fact that you can get so many certifications, or there's so many things that you can build as a professional, from your interview ability, doing all these things that Enactus holds as themselves, or the way that this isn't something that only happens to Andrews. I think, and by doing that, as you said, like showing people that this is an internship, that this is able to be on your resume, this is able to push you forward. Yeah, that definitely does help, and that's another way that we do that. I forgot to mention that, but like the marketing freshmen and things like that, a lot of times it's like, whoa, this is cool, like, and they come and they realize, oh, I should have been here this whole time.
I am absolutely grateful for my education, don't get me wrong, but Enactus is the thing that got me my job, like post-graduation. So I just absolutely echo what you're saying. It is an internship, and there's so many skills that you develop, and just like talking about the projects or like what you did on the team, people are like, wow, students did that, that's amazing, you know, and they want people who did that work for free and who will be even more incentivized to do it for them because it's their full-time job, you know. So I echo that.
I think for my team, something that we did this year, and this is honestly probably one of the things like I'm personally proudest of that like I've done for the team, I guess, is I recruited like 2 people who I was like friends with, but I knew that they like knew a lot of people in the School of Business. And so because I was able to get like just those 2 people on board, they were able to get like so many of their friends to come to Enactus, because it's just like about who you know. So that has been, honestly, that's been pretty good. I don't know, I mean, the size of our team is probably about the same as it's been in the past years. We have about 45 to 50 students on it. So honestly, I can't really speak to the like COVID affecting our recruitment, because God has blessed our team this year for some reason. But I do agree it is hard to keep people engaged still. You can get people, but keeping them engaged is still really difficult.
I guess on the marketing, one of the questions I do have to some of the bigger teams, because our team, we started out, including myself, with 4 people over the summer, and we've been able to recruit 2 people since the beginning of or throughout the rest of the school year. And so we've really had to manage our human resources strategically. And so I guess what are some kind of like besides just kind of word of mouth, like is there anything you guys have tried that you've seen that's been really effective for recruiting?
My bad, Rihanna. I guess it would be definitely the transparency. People don't like emails that much. I realize, even as myself, I don't like email marketing most of the time, and I'm a marketing major. And people sort of like when you talk to them, when if you are able to, and if you try to basically sort of use friends to funnel people in through market, like try to sell them on it, not persuade, but sell. And a lot of times that does help by getting that word of mouth, like having a friend, like, oh, tell your friends what we do. And currently we just gained 2 new members, because one of our friends, one of the guys who's in our club, he was like, oh, I have some friends who are interested, but I don't really know. And I was like, tell them what you do here. And he told them, and they were at the next meeting. And it really can help when people sort of get it from a friend compared to me, because I am the president. I'm supposed to sell the club. And it's like, well, are you telling me these good things because you're the face of the club, or is this actually a good club for me to be in? So definitely trying to use your resources, your team, to sort of get that word of mouth out there definitely has helped. And also using your social media platform, because I know a lot of times we just sort of let that be there and we work on our projects compared to like really working on our presence on there.
I don't know. Oh, sorry, Ashley.
I was just gonna say, like, my school does a lot of like recruiting events, like at the beginning of the year, like club showcases and stuff. And we just did like a big giveaway where like we had a lot of like old merch that some of our projects in the past had like had and stuff, and we were just like, if you post on your story about Enactus and tag us, and you'll get a free shirt. And we got like so many people to sign up through that because people love free stuff. So
it's true. I was going to say, I don't know if your university has events like that. La Sierra does as well. We call it Hub Fair. All the clubs come and present, or they have booths open, virtual booths this year. But I would just say kind of integrate yourself into other departments on campus, like expand outside of the business school. One, it would be great if your business school has an Instagram or has a presence on Facebook, make sure that they're advertising your team. And hopefully you have a staff member or someone who can help you get to the right person to ask for that. We tag our university on our posts so that they will repost them on their stories. That also broadens the scope, as well as, I agree, I think the most effective is when people see how passionate you are about it or your members are about it. That's what gets them. So I love the team. I live and breathe Enactus, my team. I love them. But in my classes, if my professor is mentioning something or has a connection that I think will be valuable, I'll let them know, this is what I'm doing. And a lot of them do know. I'm a business student, so obviously a lot of them know what Enactus is. But even in some of my other classes, one of my former drama professors, I reached out to him just the other day to see if he would be willing to give us some coaching for presentation team. And that's a relationship that isn't necessarily directly connected to Enactus, but by telling him, about what it is that we're doing and why I'm excited, they're excited to be a part of it as well. And so that kind of getting other people in on it and expanding your audience beyond the business school could be really effective. And then being transparent on Instagram or on social media. Something that we started doing on Instagram is, I agree that you need friends to pull people in, right? Your friends. So what we've done is we're doing Instagram takeovers where people get a chance to meet our team members as people, not as I am the project director of this project, right? So it's their daily, here's what I do in the morning, throughout the day. This is how I schedule myself. This is how I balance everything. I think people really like seeing that, seeing oh, you're a person and you have a life and you still balance these things and you still find this is why you're invested in this team. This is why you do what you do, kind of your internal motivations. So you're, becoming friends with people without having actually made that relationship with them one-on-one. So those would just be a few tips from our side.
I just wanted to add on to what she said real quick about getting other departments involved. I'm actually a global studies major. I'm not a business major, but I name dropped Enactus in so many of my classes, and it gets especially because of what I study, it gets the people around me excited about it, and the students aware of it, and also my professors who honestly I've had professors who are working in the field that we are having projects in, right? So they understand the people, the culture, the needs, the desires. So it's really good to kind of open up to different departments so you can get different perspectives on how to look at your projects. And it's also been a way to get other students involved in asking questions. I know when we have a new student come in, we usually send them to just a general meeting so they can kind of, get used to hear about all the different projects as we're giving a weekly report or something, but then also making sure that you're getting them involved and that they feel useful, because the personalities that Enactus attracts, they want to do things, they want to be hands-on, they're excited. So I think getting them inserted into jobs is good, and sometimes they don't know what they want to do, right? It can be overwhelming. So I think Ariana and I have had good experiences when we take a minute like after the meeting or something to just really sit down with them and talk with them about their skills and their like what do they want to get out of Enactus and what do they want to have, what do they want to make a difference in. And then we can kind of, you know, put them in a spot and like, okay, you try this out. If you really like it, let me know. If we need to change something, change with them. So yeah, just talk to your members and, you know, get them excited. Like she was saying, you know, people want to do things. So
especially now when everyone's just like home or, you know, behind a screen, I think people have been really excited to like, I can actually do something with my time, or, you know, with all of the classes that may or may not be contributing or may not be as engaging or as exciting as they have been. Like, oh, I can actually do something and be a part of something and have people who understand, you know. So I think it's about conversations, really. We have just a few minutes left. I'm wondering if we can just kind of turn it a little bit interpersonally and see if there's any advice that you guys would give as student leaders. What motivates you? How do you find balance? What's some advice that you would give to somebody else?
I know this quarter has really forced me to learn how to prioritize things, because in addition to Enactus, I also work for the student newspaper for about 9 hours a week. And so I've really had to sometimes I literally make a list and say, okay, this is what I do have time to get done. And sometimes I just don't have time to do everything on that list. And so I've had to strategically say, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And I am going to make sure I do get things and this done. So yeah, just making sure that I have my priorities straight and that I'm getting the things done that I absolutely do need to get done.
I think on top of what he's saying, like with definitely taking your time and like valuing your time, I had to come to grips with it, and I bought myself a planner, like a huge passion planner. And like, I hate planners with a passion, like, because it's just like, I feel like I have to stay on the times that I put there. But I think definitely just understanding, another thing is like, nothing is perfect. And like sometimes you might have thought, okay, we're gonna get this done by that time. And sometimes it might not happen, and you have to just be able to adapt and like just keep going, and don't like burn yourself out also because something isn't perfect. Don't decide you're gonna stay up till 4 a.m. to try to get something done, and I do that to myself, and it's not the healthiest thing to do. And to delegate, I think as a leader, to be okay with delegation. Sometimes if someone is like an alpha type of person, they really might not want to like give all like their things to somebody else. But you have a team, and you know you want to trust the team and just come back to like, okay, how's this going? And just delegate, and you'll most likely be successful. Yeah, so definitely just stay on top of the things that are important to you. Delegate.
Yeah, I would say after becoming the president of Enactus, that was some of the most honestly like anxiety, and like I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like everything at once. Is the busiest I've ever been. And like at first I definitely did not know how to deal with it, just because like I'm a perfectionist, so I would just work until I burned myself out, and then I would like take a day and then just like literally do nothing because I couldn't, and then I just repeat the cycle over again, which is like really not healthy. I don't recommend it. So I think and I'm still like learning and working on it, but just being able to tell myself that I have to like take certain hours of every single day for myself. And so I do what I can, like, you know, during the day, my classes, my schoolwork, but pretty much every day now I prioritize having like a few hours in the evening where I'm not like doing any work, and I'm just like hanging out with friends or spending time by myself watching a show or whatever, and that's been really nice.
Ashley, I completely relate to you. Completely. I'm that same, I take my Sabbath off, I take Saturday off, but otherwise I'm like, go, go, go from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. And it's burnout. It's exhausting. And I think the biggest thing I've had to learn, I try and protect my morning hours and my evening hours. So have like an hour to myself at the end and the beginning, like turn off my phone, put it on Do Not Disturb, all that kind of stuff. I try and do that. But the biggest thing I had to learn when I took over presidency 2 years ago, I didn't have any leadership because they had all graduated, and I took the presidency right before the year ended. So I didn't have time really to put anybody in office. I didn't know who was going to be on the team. And I spent a quarter with no leadership, and I was trying to do everything myself, more or less successfully. And it was interesting because I got to, leadership came out of it because I saw that people were invested and interested in these things. So when I put people in the position, I knew that they were going to do it well. But I had to transition from that. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to take on everything. I'm going to, perfectionism, all of that. Had to transition from that to, okay, I need to let this go. I need to, balance a little better. I need to delegate, absolutely. I'm the type who I'll be in all the meetings. I will be in all the side conversations. I just want to be there, right? But and that's fine, but it's don't do everything, right? You have exactly what Michael said. You have a team, lean on them, support, and leaning on them not just in projects but also personally. When I'm having a week that I'm just super overwhelmed, and I also work on top of being a full-time student, so when I have a week that I'm just I have nothing left that I can do, knowing that those people have my back and they'll be there to support me, not just in my role but as a person interpersonally. So yeah, it's hard to find. It's hard to balance. Definitely still a work in progress. I'm sure Maggie could tell you. But also trying to protect that for your other members too, right? Make sure not the same members are doing everything. Try and protect their priorities and their balance as well. That's a constant thing to evaluate, I think.
Guys, when she says we had no leadership, she means Ariana literally built a team out of dust. She did amazing, but yeah, it was a lot. I was a project lead at the time, and I think it's crazy because I'm actually doing the same amount of hours probably now that I was for Enactus then, just because I'm at a lot of meetings and I meet outside with project leads and stuff. So it's probably the same amount of hours, but just the amount of pressure that I put on myself as a project lead, and also please be sensitive to your project leads. They're trying so hard. But it's because the success or the failure of that project, you feel like it solely depends on you. So just remembering that I'm in Enactus because I like it, not because I'm being forced to, not because I have to succeed at this or else. It's enjoyable, and remembering that, taking it all in stride. She mentioned I think that we all mentioned delegation at some point. I really learned that as a project lead. Investing in your team early saves you time later on. Spending time with your team early saves you time later on, because that's quick, confident delegation that you can do because your team and who can do what. I think that really saved me, especially at the end. So yeah, relying on your team, remembering why you're here, just enjoying your time.
Yeah, and definitely I think understanding that if something doesn't go all right, that's not the end of the world. As you said, that idea of I'm in this because I like it, I think that's definitely very important to remind your team definitely remind your team why we do things, it's not for the awards, it's not for the certificates. It's more so like to evoke change, like in our communities and like in the world, and to like, and it's not for the resume padding, things of such, because a lot of times things don't come out as genuine, and when it's genuine, they're like actually better than when you try to be a stickler to do it for the recognition. But yeah, it's just always be proud of what you do,
I think that's a perfect note to end on. Remember why we're doing this. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. I already feel excited to take on the rest of my day having had this conversation with you guys. I hope it's not the last. We all have each other's contact information now. So anytime we want to reach out, other questions, or if we want to do something like this again, be more than happy to. Thank you guys for taking some time on your Sunday. I will go ahead and let you go. But if there's anything else that you guys want to share, talk about later, please feel free. Text, email, any of that. Emails may get buried, but you can always text me. That's fine. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye,
Bye, guys.